Hello, this is Max Drake. I was watching this video, 200 AI tools, either bet, and it came across and made this comment about this program called Anki, which is flashcards. It popped up this image that I sort of just resonated with me, and it was a curve of forgetting. I love it, and how over time you forget, but if you actually repeat things, you actually sort of embed it into things. And I was thinking, well, I do that with hotkeys. I'm trying to learn I've written a script to do something smart, and then I've just got to keep on training myself and use it until it can actually do. But anyway, I suddenly thought, well, where did this graph come from? I saw it in a couple of places. Anyway, I found this article called Ebbinghaus Forgetting Curve, and it talks about the curve and how it actually happens and what you can do about it. So if I just go to the bottom of the article through here, one of the ones that it talks about mnemonics to actually do things, and I use them an awful lot, and the other one talks about reviewing and repetition of stuff like that. So that's where flashcards come in quite well. So I decided to actually look at the tool, and it's a freebie, fantastic, and you can actually have it on your Windows, Mac, Linux, and iPhone and Android. Now everything is free apart from the Anki mobile for the iPhone, which you have to pay for. Maybe they actually had to get it programmatically built or something, but anyway, all the other ones are free, and I'm in Android and Windows anyway, so I'm not really fussed about that. So you just download it, stick it into your computer, and up it pops. Boom, there it is. So there you have it. What a wonder it is. So let's just do a really basic one through here. So on here, at the very simplest, we're actually going to come into a new deck. We're going to go add a deck. And a deck is basically seen as, and I'm just going to call it 1. Okay. And we're going to have a type basic. Now we're going to have basic and reverse card, and I'll tell you why. We're going to choose that type. So on the front of the card is going to pop up, and you're going to say something, and we're going to say g'day, because we're Kiwis. On the back we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to add that. Now this doesn't add one card, but it adds 2, because it reverses it, so you can actually have the question and answer different ways around. So you get the answer, and then you've got to remember the question and stuff like that. So that's just a silly example. We can now close on that. So we've now got this one here. Now you see there's 2 new cards that have been added at this point in time. So let's just click on this one, and so we just double click on there, and here it is. Now we're going to do the study now, and we're going to say good day. So what is the answer? So at the bottom it says show the answer, and we're going to say goodbye, and there's goodbye, and then we're going to say easy. Now this one says goodbye, so we're going to reverse it and go here. Now if there's something that I'm not retaining very well, I can actually go again at this very front thing, and you can reset these to your own settings through here, and this one set again, so it'll pop up as you're going through and practicing these cards. The ones that you have difficulty with will come through a lot more frequently. If they're easy, then they sort of forget them and don't bring them up. They bring up every other ones and whatever difficult ones you've got until it works through to the other ones through the back through there. So that's quite good, but in fact the sort of hard work had to type in each one like that. So let's just hop back into here. So a couple of things has happened. One, I've got this issue where I want to learn certain hotkeys. So I've got these keyboard shortcuts that I've got, and I had them for over a year. I saw somebody else have them there, ultra cool. But they're a combination between keyboard and mouse. So you're using shift plus the left mouse button. Then you use shift plus the right mouse button. And so there's these combinations. I never seem to hold them in memory long enough to do. So I thought this is a fantastic thing to do. So I can actually just copy these ones through here and just write them into a text file. So I wrote them into a text file. I did actually have tab delimitated, but I actually found comma delimitated as well. Now you can use something like a pipe as a separator, or there's a few other separators that you can use. We'll show that in a minute. So I can actually just write this to a text file, or a text file, or a CSV file, and I can save that through there. And now I can come into here, and inside this one here, I'm just going to go file, import. Now we're going to import that file, which is the text file through there, and it says where do you want to import it to and what's it set up. So we're set up as a, sorry, we're just going to, before we go back to that, I'll just stop there. We go file, we go import. Now if we look at the file, there's several file types that we can import: XML, TSV, a package, CSV, zip, text, and there's even a DB one down there somewhere, .db, which is quite interesting. So that means you can load up an awful lot of stuff. So this one here is a text file, so that's what we're doing. So we're opening up there, and it suddenly says, well, okay, then we're going to import, and it's comma separated. So we could do the pipe or all of these different ones. Which deck are we going to put it into? We're going to put it into the one deck that we're going to create, and the note types are going to be basic and reverse cards. So that means we can use them backwards and forwards. We can give them tags and stuff, but I'm not going to bother with that. And then we go import. Now it's going to import through here. And we just go close, and then suddenly this has 5 now. So if we actually just go into that one and we go study now, and we go out plus shift, oh, I don't even think that is a real one, show the answer, followed by the left hand button on the mouse. No, I think I got that one wrong, so that's easy. So we get goodbye, so that one there was good A, and then that was easy, and out plus shift again. I don't think I've got that one. Now if you've written it wrong, what you can actually do is you can go into this browse area. So, oh, sorry. So if you go into browse, we've got that one out plus shift. We've got a few of these ones here, and maybe it should be out plus shift plus left button, and then that's backspace. So I hadn't done those. So these are the older one, backspace, we'll say. So we've got those ones through there, and if we're in cards, I tried deleting these, sorry, we come back to cards. If I just right hand click on that one, and I go, what it allow me to do is it allow me to forget it, but it won't let me delete it. But if you go into notes, and you go into that one there, and if you click on it, you can actually delete it. Boom. So that's quite good. So I found that was the way to do it. Now that when you actually come into this area through here, it means you can actually add extra information onto these ones here, depending on what card types you've got. It's also got a sort of directory of, look, here's all of your decks, here's your decks, here's some other things that you've got, your note types that you can actually have, and we'll talk about those in a little bit now. So this the browse is a really good thing there. Now it's got a sync. Now when you actually download, they actually encourage you to actually make an account. Now when you make an account, it gives you a cloud account on I think it's Anki Web. And what that does is it allows you to sync across devices. So therefore, if you're on this computer here, and we've just added that one through there, I can now sync that. So now when I get my app on my phone, and there's one called something Droid, I can now, I think if I just if I go back or something, can I just go deck? I'm on the deck here, I can actually sync across to here. Now there's a few little issues about that, but that's fine. And that one's now syncing. So it's taking the data from here, so any updates I've got from here, it's pushing them up into the cloud. So that means if I'm on different devices, I can pull them through. Now to a certain extent, that is like Obsidian, which I love using. Now Obsidian, I tend to have kind of their big note takes. On my mobile, I only tend to have just Google Keep and, you know, just shopping lists and stuff. For getting into stuff and writing articles and things like that, I find this really good. But this has a sync, but it costs you $8 a month to do, and then you can link across devices to do that. In fact, with this one, I actually just have this on my network-assisted storage, and then I just open it from different computers so that I've got it in one place. So this one, they give you free. For free, they give it to you. So that's really brilliant. So everything apart from the iPhone app itself is for free. So great. Now, the other thing as well, what I've been learning in the past, about 5 or 6 years ago, I was using Duolingo, and I found it really good for just learning Spanish. I suddenly picked it up just over the new year, and I thought, no, I want to start learning Spanish again. And I went on, it's got so many ads, it's in your face, it's just trying to get you to actually pay for the service and everything like that, and I just find it's more irritating, and it's not enjoyable to use. So I suddenly thought, no, I actually want to learn Spanish through here. Now what this has as well is a whole lot of libraries. So if we just come into here, you can actually go and here's one where I've actually just said, I'll Google Anki Decks Spanish English learning or learning theme, and then it's got a list of all of these, and then you can actually just download them and find the ones that you actually want. Now as soon as if we just find one through here, I'll just get the silly one, so English to Czech or something like that, I can actually click on that, it'll download the file. So here's a sample for that one. That one's not very good, and I wonder if I got another one open through here. No. This one's one which is a sample from Beginner's Latin, which I actually down. But on this page you can actually.
Este es un animal. Este es un animal.
Has some sound bites that you can do, and then it's got some pop-ups. So you suddenly think, well, this is quite a good one, I'll download that one. So you download it, you download the file, and then you actually just come into Duolingo and you go tools, you can go file, import, and you can import that file. So that's the Beginner's Latin, it becomes an APKG package. You download it and it becomes a package through here. So Rosetta Stone Spanish thing. So we can study that one now and we can listen to it. Those socks are grey, enter.
Sus calcetines son grises.
And you get the sound bites, and then you can reverse those and do them. So again, that's very hard. I'll most probably just put that as hard, and so that may be a bit advanced for me. So I'd most probably come into the deck, and I'd most probably delete that one. I've still got the file, but I'm suddenly thinking, no, that's a bit too high pitched. So I'd most probably put it in a folder and suddenly saying intermediate or slightly higher level of Spanish than what I've got. There's this one here that I can actually use, and so if I come in and study
financiar,
and if I go show the answer, it actually gives you images and stuff, plus it's got the sound bites as well. I'll put that
electrónico,
and you can come through and do these ones. So this is a sort of the level that I want at the moment. So this is particularly brilliant for me. So that's just free stuff. So when I watched this, I watched a video on how to use this. So there seems to be a lot of medical doctors who are using them, and there's a lot of libraries that are already built, or decks that are built, that they can actually download to practice for exams, or practice for cardiovascular things, or certain other parts of the body and things like that. And so there's a sort of a lot of people who are completely smitten by this, and they're very, very pro it completely. So there's also, there's a lot of libraries already, or decks already out there in a lot of different things. I actually started to look up ones about programming and programming in Python. There was some there, and there was a whole lot of stuff on Spanish. So I was suddenly thinking, well, for my Spanish learning, I'll actually just go try using this. Now the nice thing is you can load it up onto your mobile phone so that you can actually just have it as you're going around. So you might have 5 minutes waiting a bus stop or in a queue or something like that, and you can just practice those things straight away. So it's a utility that you can use to actually start, enhancing your skills that you've already got. It's got a few issues though that I've actually found on the mobile app, is that sometimes the images are not coming across. But there is a bug on there, and I start to hunt through, and so I'll see if I can actually resolve some of the things. This point in time, some of them come through nicely, some of them don't, but they actually say, oh well, you've got to go and check to see if they come through into your into the Anki web and log the check up on that, which I haven't really done that much of. I've just used it for my syncing. So on the basic level, I can do this. So when we come into this one here, we've done the one with the keyboard through there, and we've done that. So we've got that. But then we can actually say, well, I want a basic and reversed, but I actually want to bring that in from an external file. So these are ones that I actually just did. Now from an external file, I can actually have comma separated, which I've got here, or I can actually have it as pipe, which is the vertical columns, or there's a few variations on that. I'll just save that as it is through there. So now I can actually just go add, so I can go file, import this text file. Now, so before I do that, I just want to highlight, you can actually import in all of these different ones, TSV, CSV, PAL, database and stuff through there. So when I import that and go open, I'm going to say, where am I going to import it? I'm going to import a comma separated file, and you can see it's actually showing you an image of how the stuff works. When I was doing tab, some of these things were going into a third or fourth column, which wasn't right. So I actually found the comma was a bit more better. Now the deck that we're going to put it in is number 1, and we're going to have it as basic and reverse cards. So we're going to set it up that way, and then we're going to go import and close. Now you see we've got those extra ones now. So when I go to study those, it suddenly says backspace, I don't know what that one is, out just lift the thing, out plus shift. Some of these aren't quite, I don't think they're quite structured right. They seem to be a little bit odd. I think I've imported this so many times it's got a bit fuzzy in there somewhere. So, but even then I can actually just go into my browse through here, and I can actually say out plus shift plus left button is equal to backspace. Oh, sorry, that was the thing. So that was actually perfectly right. So out plus shift plus right button is equal to delete. And I've got a few of these ones which I don't need. They were kind of they were fragmentedly done. So I can go from cards and come into here and go into notes and just go delete. If they're in cards and I go and do that, I can forget them, but I can't delete them. So you've got to go into notes so that you can delete those ones through there. So now if I come back into there and I'm just going to do my delete, then I'm going to say delete is shift plus out plus right hand button. And so if I just go and check that answer, shift plus out plus right hand button, so I have got those ones through there, and I can suddenly say, well, I'm still not remembering that one, show it to me again quite quickly. So those are the decks, but what I was actually finding was when I was doing them with just those things, I was finding it very hard to visualize. I was suddenly thinking which keys are those and how, and you're sort of physically or mentally trying to figure out how they work. So suddenly that doesn't quite work for me. But I just want to highlight a couple of other examples that you can do through here that I've actually come through, and I've got some use cases for these. So we're going to add another deck or another folder, and I'm just going to call it 2. And on this one here, we're going to call it a type close, and we're going to choose that one there. So this one here is we can go and grab a bit of text somewhere. So we'll grab that bit of text there, and we can put it into where we are, and we can paste it into here. So what we can do, we can suddenly say we can highlight that bit there and we can hide it, and it gives us this bit of thing, and we can actually take that more and we can add that one. Instead of C2, I'm just going to do this as C1. Then it comes through as the same one. Instead of being 2 cards, it now just becomes 1. Does it greatly? We can actually have that, and we can make that C1 as well, and then we can actually go close. Oh, wait a minute. No, we go add, and then that's been added. Now we can actually just go close. Now that was on number 2. So if we just come into here, and we go 2, and we go study now, this one's got these blanks. So what is a program which makes remembering easy? So that's Anki, because it's a lot more efficient and thereby greatly improves the amount you learn. So we can actually say show answers, and it actually just highlights those ones. So where you're actually learning concepts of certain things, this is quite a convenient way to do that. So we just leave that as easy. So that's a second deck that we've actually got. So we can actually add another deck through here, and the one that so we're going to add, and the next one's going to be called 3. Okay, and the next one that I'm going to use is this one called image occlusion. Choose. Now before I go any further, I just want to come into this pop-up through here, and he has this one called image occlusion. Now you just type in, you find it on the web, although I'll show you another way to do it. This is the image occlusion ones here. So basically there's got a whole lot of bits of information that they're pointing at certain parts of the brain. So it's an image, you could actually have it pointing at a timber framing or something like that. So it could be you're learning detailing or something like that. Now what you can do is you can block off these things, and then each time you can go through and ask a question and it suddenly shows what's underneath. So it's a good way of actually, you've got a diagram and you're actually just learning different aspects of diagrams and stuff like that. So this one's called Enhanced. Now what it has when you scroll down to this as an add-on is it actually has this little code coming through here. So coming back into Anki and coming into here, we can actually come into Tools and we can go Add-ons, and we can say get an add-on. Now if you've got the code of the one that you want, so I just paste in that code, whoops, del, and I just go V and find that code. I've got it in there somewhere, and just bang in that code, go OK. But I've already got that one in there. But if there was other ones that you want to lose, I'll just get rid of that just so I'm not doing it. There's other browse ones that when you click that browse, it comes through onto this web page so that you can see other ones through here. You can see how many people have downloaded it and who's using one. So this one's got 230. So this is Japanese support, so different things that you can do with them. So that's a particular one that you can actually download and do. It doesn't seem to do ratings by order. It might. I'm not too sure what's thing. So you can, I think I've got the review heat map on mine, so I actually just come down here and grab that code, added it in, and bang, off it went. So that's really handy, is there's all these plugins that you can actually go and use straight away. So there's some help files and things like that, but I actually found there's an awful lot of videos on there that I tend to use myself. This one here, I was trying to figure out how to actually deck and use decks and subdecks, and I'll go into that quickly through there. So you can get free plugins, you can get this one. So at the moment I'm just going to demonstrate this one here. So we're just going to cancel out of that, and we're going to go into number 3, and we're going to add you go into the last one. Once you've got your image occlusion enhanced, you click onto this image, and then you go and choose an image that you've got. So let's just say I chose that one there, and it's an image of the planets, and I want to learn the planets or something like that. I can actually open this up to a very large size. I can actually just go fit, and then I can actually hide certain planets through here. 1, 2, 3. I can actually make it oval or something if I want it in a different. So I can pull it and make them circular if I want. I can click on here and drag it across to a certain point. So this is one of the things I can do. Now here I'm going to hide all. Down at the bottom here there's some buttons, and it's what one's going to be hide all guess one. So it's going to hide all the rest of them and only show you the one highlighted. And then I'm going to show you another way of doing it. So when it comes through that, if I try doing add, it says, the field is empty. So you go, okay, you put something into there, and you go add, and it says, no, the field's empty. So just do close, and it will still remember them anyway. So you'll actually find for deck number 3, it's still there. So if we go and browse in deck number 3, we've got the card. So if we look at the card, we've got the image, and you can see where these are. If you can, where it says question mark, so you can see where these are overimposed. So the first one there is the red one is Earth, so we'll actually just put Earth there, and the next card is, we can come through there, so that's highlighting that one, so it's the next one in, so it's going to be Venus. And then, I do hope I'm getting this right. I'll be a bit of a pray if I wasn't. And then the next one in seems to be Mercury. I still haven't quite figured out a lot of these columns through here in a way, but sort of it works for me as and the last one is going to be Mars. So now I've got those highlighted through there. I can now study, And so now this just comes up. So it's just highlighted that one there, and then I'm going to say Mercury, show answer, Mercury. Great. Now I'm going to go enter again, and the next one comes through here, and I'm going to say Mars, show answer, Mars, fantastic, etc., etc., etc. So that works on that level. And I suddenly thought, well, I really like this obfuscating one with those, but I am finding it difficult with the hotkeys doing them with just like that. I find visually it just confuses me. So what I ended up doing is we ended up adding another one, and we're going to go and add another one called 4, I think we're up to, and go OK. And the type that we're going to use is an image one, and choose that one, and we're going to go and choose an image. Now what I did was I ended up doing a screenshot of as a keyboard, and then I did a screenshot of a mouse, and this is a gaming mouse which actually has side buttons, and then I combine them into one. So I have this combined one through here that I can start doing some masks on. So when I've got that with that, I'm just going to hit the fit so that it expands out all the time. Now what I want to do on here, I want to use an example, and this one's going to be using the shift key, and that's a bit too dark. I actually want to see underneath it, so I'm going to go 25. No, it's too light. I think the 50 works quite nicely. So I've got the fifth shift, and then I'm going to do another one on the L, and I'm just going to pull these out and highlight what's actually happening through here. So I might just go and fit again. Now on my other keyboard, on my other PC, when I was playing it on that one, I don't actually have a mouse on that, so I could actually use the number pad, and then I could actually select the first one and then hold shift, and it would let me select 2 at the same time. This one doesn't with the mouse for some unknown reason, I don't know. So you've actually got to use layers. So I've got the layers called mask, and then I've got these ones on there. So I can now go into the select tool at the top and select the whole lot and highlight and type G. And what that does is group. So I can ungroup those, but I've grouped those together. So they work as a single key that we're actually doing. Now I'm going to hide those, and I'm going to go on to the next one through here, and I'm going to create another one. So that one there, I think I was doing shift. I want to do the right hand button, and I've got that one on labels. Now I've got to come through. I've got to just Z. It keeps on wanting to do. Oh no, Control Y, get back again. And then if I sit on select, I can select those two, and then I can select any of those two and just go group, and then I can come into here and go merge all. And so you can actually see there's 2 on one. If you don't merge and you leave them on separate layers, when you go to actually save this of whatever process, hide one, guess one, or hide one, hide all, guess one, or hide guess one, and do close, it only saves it as a single card. So it gets all confused and doesn't know how it works. So you've got to push them all onto the same layer at the end, and then I'm going to hide one, guess one is the button that I'm going to use down the bottom here. So 2 cards added, we're going to close that. So now I've created the cards. I'm not going to use add, I'm just going to use close. So that's in number 4 through there. I'm going to go into browse, and I'm going to suddenly saying on this first card here, the first one is going to shift, the second one is going to the right hand button. So that one I can actually say shift plus right M, and I can actually say the remark on that is shift plus right M moves 1 space to right. I most probably have to not modify those ones, and then I'm just going to go I'll copy that one, and I go into here and I go shift plus left M, and this one here LB, that's moving 1 to the right, so move cursor 1 space left, and I've got that one there. So we've got those as cards. We can now close that through there. We can now do the study. So if I do the study through here, I've got the space bar and I've got the right hand key. So that one there is move the space bar one to the right. So move one space to the right, and then we go good. And then we've got the left hand button and the shift bar, and that one there is move one space to the left. So we just go enter, move one space to the left. Easy. So we can just check those up there. So if I just come into there and I go shift and click the left button, it's moving one space to the left. And if I'm up here and I click the right hand button, you see it's moving one space to the right all the time. If I use Alt plus up, it moves one line up. If I move Alt plus down, it moves one place down. If I move Control Shift, it moves to the top. If I move Control Shift and right hand button, it goes to the bottom. So this is really handy if you're in something like a browser and I just go Control Shift bottom and it takes me to the bottom of the page, Control Shift top and it takes me to the top of the page. So this is really good for navigation. Now the up one line is sort of good if you're doing a lot of text editing, but maybe that should be a page up and a page down to actually get through. But at this point in time, I've actually got a simple thing. I like this visual. So this is visual now, so I can do this. Unfortunately, when I sync this and it uploads, when it actually comes onto the mobile phone, and I just try doing the keyboard, I just got to do good show answer. It actually, the image doesn't come through, so I've got to work out what's actually happening. But even if it doesn't, I can still just practice this, and I actually find having this image here, it works very well when I'm actually working on the PC for learning these things, to get sort of body memory as well, that I'm touching the right buttons. Also as well, when I first tried doing this, I tried mapping, you know, layer on layer on layer, and I did about 10 different layers to do the shift plus left, shift plus right, Alt plus left, Alt plus right, Control Shift plus left plus right, and then there's a shift Alt, and then halfway through I stuffed up something, and it just took a long time to set up, and in the end I thought, I don't need to do that. What I can actually do in my deck is that I can rename this one. I can come into here and I can rename it. I can actually just say Hotkeys, and then I can actually say shift plus left right mouse. So I know which ones I'm going to practice. So I can actually have that as a sub deck that where's it gone? It's gone inside of that one. I've gone too far down. I've got that as a subdeck that I can actually just exercise on those. Now, what I've actually found when I'm actually learning hotkeys, or I've created some more hotkeys of some productivity tools or something like that, it's good to learn 2 or 3 at a time. And so it's good that I can actually just do this particular tutorial, and then I can do it the next day or the day after, and just get comfortable with the shift left right mouse button. Then I'll do an Alt left right mouse button. Then I'll actually do a Control Shift up and down one. And then slowly over time I familiarise with all of mine for those. So that's just my learning style. So I was only thinking, well, that fits in with it. I can actually break this down into smaller amounts. I don't actually have to do all of them, which I think I initially did. If I just go and browse those, I ended up with an awful lot of these ones that were, well, actually this was another example one that I was actually just doing some different images on the stuff, but you know, you ended up with so many of the things on there overall, and it was just too much. It was a bit overwhelming, and it was too fiddly, like it's got a mask on for one of the things through there. So I concluded that after practicing and just trying to demonstrate it in a way, that I can actually break it down into small ones. So you can actually have the decks, and you can actually have sub decks, and you can actually have a sub deck of a sub deck of a sub deck of a sub deck of a sub deck if you actually wanted it like that. But I don't think I want my trees that big in a way. And I think I'd most probably have quite a shallow one of just few in the house that I'm actually just practicing at the moment, and for the Spanish ones I'd most probably only have a couple, and I'd might even actually take some of these and break them down into only a few words and just practice a few words. So I don't know if I think I can copy this one and then I can actually just go through and delete most of the other ones and just practice maybe 4 or 5 phrases or 4 or 5 words until I'm comfortable with those, move them out and do some other ones. So I can structure this the way that I want it. And again, if I don't want this one anymore, or what happened to one? I can't remember what I did with one. I can actually just go into here and I can actually delete that one. So I can delete them and clear them, or I can actually export the whole lot. So if I explore the keyboard and the mouse ones, I can come into here and I can export and I can create the whole things. So at this point in time, I've actually got a whole lot of cards that I can actually use on my PCs, on my different PCs, because they're syncing all through to those ones, and I've also got it onto the mobile phones. Now the images for the keyboards aren't quite coming through at this point in time, and onto this one here. But from the point of view of just practicing and doing as I'm waiting outside, this is more than sufficient for me. So there's a few other methods of this. Sometimes I can actually just do the basics and do the reverse ones. Sometimes I can actually have the image ones. Sometimes I can actually have maybe a big graph or something, and I'm just trying to learn different things, or there's tables or things that I need to just memorize, especially if you're doing some programming or some things of stuff. And I can suddenly say, well, or maybe I'm trying to learn a line of poetry, so I can actually hide the second line and actually just have the first line and try and think what the second line is, or start breaking it up into manageable bits that I find comfortable to actually learn with. And this is what I really like about this, is that I can actually build it to the way that I'm comfortable with doing something, and then I'm suddenly thinking, well, how am I using this? So that's another thing, as you get onto the behavioural side of this, is do I do it for 5 minutes? Like one of the things that I do is I set the dog off running, and then I have to drive further along to where the dog's going to run to, and so I've got something like 2 minutes, so I've actually only got time for 3 or 4 little tests, and then I go on to the next part, and then the dog runs a bit further, and then I do another little test or something like that. So I only need little small chunky ones for some things, and then other ones I actually want to learn more concepts. So exploring a lot of the libraries now, or a lot of the decks to do with some of the languages and things I'll be interested in. There's some for do with programming, and there's even one here that I was quite intrigued with, which is Anki pandas. So you can actually use pandas to actually build your Anki decks, from what I can figure out through there. So that'd be quite fair. Might be worth exploring, because I actually want to do some cut and learning some concepts and stuff like that. So I quite like the refinement of the tool. Now it has got its little bit, but for a totally free thing, you're waiting in a long queue in the supermarket, or you're waiting 10 minutes for the bus, or you're on the underground train, you've read a bit of your book, you're a little bit, I haven't got time to kind of read another chapter or something like that. I just do a few of these. And what I actually find with me is that I break it down into a few, 2 or 3 keys that I need to remember, and then that works through. Looking further ahead, another one that I do, I've done a book on Revit productivity keys, and a lot of those are actually mapping, and a lot of those are 2 key things. Now a lot of those I use mnemonics similar to what he talks of in here. Like on here he's got the mnemonics that he works through, so I try to, if I'm doing a line, it'll be LI or something like that, or you know, but it ends up being a whole lot of combination of things. But what I can actually do with that is that I can end up with a whole library that I can actually break down either alphabetically or some way to actually, or based on certain things that you're doing, that you can actually just learn a few keys along the way, that once you've memorized those and practiced those, you're more familiar with them. Once you're familiar with them, you never seem to forget them. You know, I've got hotkeys now, which I've had for years, and I have problems thinking about the ones that I've got to map around them, because they're in the most advantageous spots that I've actually got. And things like an example of this is one that I'm actually just enjoying at the moment, is doing power toys. And inside power toys, there's a whole lot of different features that you can use that I've actually added some keys for, so I actually need to see what mappings I've got for those, so that I can utilize those more efficiently. And it's the same like you using the Windows keys, you know, like the Windows keys and E for opening up an Explorer or another version of Explorer and things like that, or the Windows key and D for dropping the desktop, so you're onto that. there's all these ones. There's a couple of handy ones that I keep on forgetting about. Like when I'm actually in Visual Studio Code, the Control F and Control G and A, or Control H is another one that I use. There's a search and replace type things, and there's also just a search and things. So there's a couple there that I need to sort of memorize for those particular ones. So there's a whole lot of other things that I can just see straight from the hotkey ones. And the other nice thing as well is, like, a lot of the times, because you're jumping in between a lot of different packages, you can't sort of remember which hotkeys relate to which. Whereas if you've got something like this, you can just go into your library and just look at your decks and suddenly saying, okay, then I've got a deck which is for things that I use. I just find hotkeys just so productive. They're just so handy to use, and as long as you can remember them, so as long as you know what your hotkeys are, you can just blast through and do things. And some of them are really, they really speed up the way that you actually do some stuff. So being able to memorize the ones at once. So that's why I've actually moved on to using the mouse and the gaming mouse with buttons. Like, I've got to remember these ones, so I've got to do another one for the back button here, which I use as enter. So I don't actually have to reach across and use the enter key. I can actually just do that after selecting some text. I can do that. And then number 2 and number 3 at the moment, I've got copy and paste. And then I've got these buttons at the top that I use infrequently because they're sort of awkward and I'm not used to doing. My middle mouse button click has ended up using quick access hotkeys. So there's all of these extra things that just pop up and actually just make you speed up so much more. And I can actually see Anki being a very, very good tool for me for being able to actually just familiarize myself with some more, so that I can actually have those mapped out to be good. And the other thing is, you've got one place where you're keeping all of those things right. So you're suddenly thinking, well, I might be in VS Code. What are the things that I use in that? And you can actually just go through and refresh yourself on some of those. And this is one of the things that I find. I put down some programs and I pick up other programs and I'm doing something in a specific way. Like I might be doing some modeling for a month, and then I might be going through, as in building modeling. I don't think I can model myself, unless you want a model for a grumpy old man. And then I'd be doing maybe some programming in Python, or I might be doing some programming in Order Hotkey, or I might be doing some web pages. So I pick up projects and put them down again. So I find, again, on this line of memory, of your memory falls away, you can just do a quick refresh or a quick review. So this, I think, can be a really powerful tool to just give you those extra powers that you need. Now a lot of the times I use things like this where I've got a whole load of other things. So this one here is the Max Launcher that I use, and this is for ones that I forget, and then I can suddenly think, I need to do that. But it's good for websites and things that I can just link it into other stuff. So that's handy for things that I utilize some ways. But when I'm actually really hammering along and really into doing one particular project, so it might be the building design or something like that, or it might be the programming, I'm actually using hotkeys more than anything else, because I find them so much more efficient. You don't actually have to look. It's a kind of a certain motion or stretch of your hands as to how they work. So the learning, for me, this is a specific thing that I need to learn, and I think this is a useful tool, and it's a free tool. So I think if you're keen about becoming a more productive person, or learning things, or actually having better interest in retaining certain information to make you more effective in what you do in one way or another, I'd definitely consider using something like this, because it's very good. And the other thing which I found is there's an awful lot of videos out there on it. Quite a few people seem to be talking about it, and a lot of the medical people seem to be doing it. So they see that they've got to cram in an awful lot of knowledge, and maybe it is just cramming for a particular thing. But I also think that once you've actually got those decks built up as you want, and they're things that you can familiarize yourself, you can just go back and reuse all the time. And this is what I actually found when I was learning Spanish, and it was just some of the very simple phrases and things like that, is that you don't use it and you lose it. So to a certain extent, having it handy such that you can just do gentle little refreshes along the way is a handy way of having something accessible with you all the time to be able to do that. So I hope you found that of interest. I'm really excited about what I can actually do with this at the moment. and I think even for some other things that I want to start learning, this is a really cool tool to use. So thank you very much for watching.